what is this? This is 7.2%. I'm on my second one here in the last hour and a half.
What else besides editing have you been doing the most during this?
Homeschooling my daughter, which that is, obviously over now. Chatting with friends via Zoom and spending time with my daughter and my wife, But I will say my wife is a stay-at-home mom, so we've been blessed to already spend time with each other before the pandemic happened. I know a lot of people have stories like, oh, I'm spending more time with my family. It's been a blessing that it's always been part of our life. And sometimes I might put that off for the day to edit. Because if I am, got paid work, which I don't have now, if I have paid work, I can't edit, but I can come home from work and spend time with my family.
What would you say are like your top 3 favorite films?
Butterfly Effect because of the message. And I was expecting the worst production from Ashton Kutcher, however you say his name, because he was in a 70s show and he was like the stupid slacker Burnout. I did not expect anything serious, so I was blown away by what he produced and was part of and in. And I just love the fact that you go through hell, you want to change something about your life, you kind of have to accept it, because if you take one thing out of it, something else bad is going to happen. So I've been through hell and back, with losing my dad to suicide when I was 7, to God losing, losing our child when my wife was 5.5 months pregnant, to, going through a divorce and, the first time around. So I've been through hell and back, and the Butterfly Effect is just a really positive story about accepting your fate. And I would not have been happier where I'm at with my life, even though it's been a really, really hard life and a hard past. Another movie, again, Will Smith, did not expect him to put out anything ultra cool. One of the coolest things that he first put out, because he put out so much good stuff after this, was Enemy of the State, with Gene Hackman. Just on the edge of your seat, oh my God moments, high intensity, great acting by everybody from the supporting roles to the people that weren't even credited. I know Sizemore at the end, he wasn't even credited in the film. Did you make the tape? You make the tape? That whole scene right there. Just a intense, action-packed movie. And I got to put Rogue One on there too for the top 3, man.
You can't leave it off.
No, I can't leave it off. I cannot leave Rogue One off the top 3 list. 2 phobias I have. Speaking about birthdays, you see, I have these Mylar balloons behind me. Mm-hmm. I love Mylar balloons, but there's something about latex balloons. Latex, I think I kind of contribute this to my grandma. She brought home a bunch of balloons for me when I was a kid, and she scared the shit out of me because I was sleeping, and the room was full of balloons, and I woke up screaming, and I ran out of the room. But I told my daughter the other day she had to do balloons for a game, and a year game with the classmates on Google Meet. And it sets off a gag reflex. It's really bizarre. Like, I lose my appetite around them. I would say I have a phobia of that, and I'm not a fan of cockroaches. I don't have them in my house, thank God. I saw a creep show when I was like 8 years old, and the guy hates sturdiness and he hates cockroaches. And at the end of the scene, he's covered with millions of cockroaches, and it scared the shit out of me. It scarred me so bad. If I see a ladybug, I'm like, it better not be a cockroach.
See, I am deathly afraid of pigeons, or any birds, really.
You contribute that to The Birds by Hitchcock?
But I love The Birds. I don't know. I think because I can laugh at that, but I'll be walking and I'll just see a bird staring at me, and I will run the other way. My wife gets so mad. She won't even hold my hand anymore because there's so many times I've yanked her to the ground with me when I see a bird. But it might be because when I was in maybe 7th, 8th grade, a dead bird fell out of the sky and landed on me. So that might have something to do with it. We're going to turn the tides on you this time. We're going to play a couple games. Those that watch this show are going to be familiar with. So the first game that we play, we like to call Shag, Marry, and Kill. Sabe, Dorme, or Sache?
Oh, those are handmaidens.
Sache was played by Sofia Coppola.
Yes.
Sabe
yes.
by Keira Knightley, and Dorme by
Rose Byrne.
Rose Byrne, the great Rose Byrne.
Rose Byrne. Okay, the Coppola I would kill. Forgive me, Francis. It's very killing the creator of The Godfather's daughter, and I would marry Rose Byrne. I would shag because I could. Once I'm married to her, I could shag her. Keira Knightley, I would shag. You went all handmaidens on me.
I know. Another favorite game of mine from your show, Star Wars Would You Rather. I got a couple of these for you. Number one, if you could only watch one Star Wars trilogy ever, so from this point on you could never watch them, would it be the prequels or the sequel trilogy?
Oh, the prequels or the sequels? You know what? I love the prequels. I gotta go with the prequels.
Good. All right. Would you rather have lunch with George Lucas or Dave Filoni?
Oh, George. Now, the ball buster would have been Jim Henson or George Lucas. I know having lunch with Jim Henson is not an option right now. But yeah,
why George, I picked Dave Filoni.
George Lucas for sure. But if Jim Henson was still alive, I would rather have lunch with him for sure.
Nice.
Over Lucas.
All right. Would you rather give up Star Wars or beer?
I would rather give up beer. I've been trying to give up beer for a long time.
My wife been trying to get me to give up Star Wars for a long time. It doesn't work either. It's just
funny thing, my wife would probably be happier if I gave up Star Wars. I would rather give up beer than Star Wars for sure.
Nice. Okay. Would you rather make an official documentary where you followed the Cubs for a season or shoot the DVD extras of the next Star Wars movie? And yeah, I said DVD.
Shoot the DVD extras for the next Star Wars. That's a good question.
Nice.
But Star Wars for sure.
Okay, last one. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. If you went back in time to the early 80s and you got cast in Return of the Jedi, would you rather play the Rancor Keeper or Oola?
Oola. Oola. It's kind of tough. She dies a horrible death, but she's definitely, I don't know, it's that sex appeal that I like, you know. Thanks again for joining us on this episode. We are having a little bit of a reunion here. I'm bringing in Sean Hynes, Alphie Jimenez. Sean, what are you drinking?
We got the blender going today, so I've got my pina colada in my 40th anniversary Boba Fett Tervis.
Alphie, what are you drinking now, man?
It's a Pacifico Cerveza.
I want to say cheers, guys. Thanks for doing this on my birthday with me, man.
Cheers.
Really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Kind of fate doing this today because it's Chris's birthday, and one of the scenes that actually has everyone in it was the scene at Chris's birthday party, where it seemed like everyone just gave him alcohol as a gift.
No shortage of alcohol there.
We got 3 bottles of wine, a bottle of rum, and a 4-pack of Iron Maiden beer.
So this question's for you, Sean and Alfie. You guys think Chris has a drinking problem?
Yes.
Yes. I think the real question is, does anybody not think that?
Well, okay, you know what? Let me throw this to you, Chris. Do you think you have a drinking problem? And more importantly, does Michelle think you have a drinking problem?
You guys are roasting me a little bit right now.
You would never be able to handle a roast. You can barely even handle one bad review out of 30.
Yeah, right. You're absolutely right about that. I cannot handle one bad review, but I will handle this roasting of drinking too much. You know what? Well, Gunnar, when you asked me would I give up Star Wars or drinking, I told you I'd give up drinking over Star Wars. It hasn't had any negative impact on my life.
You are a controlled drinker, but you are not a controlled Star Wars fan. That's the difference.
I don't drink every day. I drink every night. So
It's still every. It's semantics, I guess. You know, the hour makes more difference.
Remember, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere.
yeah, especially in London, you know. I do say that Duffy still drinks more than me. I will say that.
Duffy probably drinks more than all 4 of us, from what I've seen.
I'm sure wherever he is, somebody's got his beer.
Whoever's in that bathroom, you have my beer.
What were some of the biggest obstacles that you faced in shooting this?
Oh, you know what? Wearing too many hats. You know, directing it, producing it, you know, kind of writing it, editing it, acting in it, you know, even though it's all real. So wearing too many hats has definitely been the biggest obstacle for me.
The only person that can really pull off hats is Alphie.
Hey, I speak Javitos.
All that show needs is Michelle rolling her eyes, because that is what makes this show. Every time you quote a line, Chris, every time you do something, just her, I can feel her eyes rolling even when she's not rolling. I'm sorry to say, all you guys, she's the star of the show. She is my favorite part of that show.
Speaking about hats and speaking about Javitos, when I went to Hawaii last year, I went to the filming location where they shot the rope swing from Indiana Jones.
What was filmed here, though? Anybody got a guess?
Raiders!
Yeah, Raiders. In Raiders, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was filmed right here. It was when he jumped out of the cave, got met with the Javitos, the natives chasing him with darts and spears and all of that. That was when he was here, right here on Kiku Ranch. He comes running down this hill, grabs onto the rope, jumps into the water, just jumps on the plane, they take off. I Hate Snakes, all filmed right here.
I had a Cubs hat that looked like that. And I wore it when I swung on the rope because I wanted to be like Indiana Jones. And when I went into the water in the exact same spot, my hat did not come up with me.
Oh, no.
So every time I see that scene, I'm like, my Cubs hat is buried in the murky bottom of that scene, man.
Sacrificed your Cubs hat to the Javitos.
Never.
It's a Cubs hat. It's just a Cubs hat.
Oh, coming from Sox fans.
It wasn't, not a total loss. It's just a Cubs hat.
I got some more questions for you guys. So, Chris, Duffy was originally your buddy Duffy, who shows up on some of the footage from Celebration. He was originally supposed to be one of the cast members. Was he replaced with one of these other guys, or were there originally going to be 5?
Duffy was an extra add-on. So it was supposed to be 5. The core 4, those were cast first. Duffy was probably an idea at the same time of casting. Nobody replaced Duffy.
Sort of a fifth Beatle, I guess you could say.
The fifth Beatle, yes, that's a great way to put it. And I know you guys are Beatles freaks, yes, for sure.
Nice.
That's a great way to put it. He's the Pete Best of the real fans of the Saga.
Pete Best.
Our good friend Brian from the Babu Freaks, he has a question for us. So, Chris, this question's for you. What has been your biggest fight that Star Wars ever caused in a relationship?
Well, you know, it's funny. I mentioned that earlier with the girls. Real quickly, thank God it has not been a problem in my marriage, but it was a problem in my former marriage.
Shit.
I put Star Wars, I was quoted in the newspaper that Star Wars was my mistress. They actually quoted in the Gilbert's Gazette. Gilbert's was the town that I lived in. They did a feature on me after I put out The Force Among Us. Let's just say I put Star Wars in front of my first marriage all the time. That's probably why I'm divorced, and it's probably why I got a little bit of a grasp on it while I've been, you know, I just celebrated my 11th year anniversary. And Alphie, your kid was born on my anniversary, yes? May 24th?
May 24th.
Alphie, you're a true friend. You were at my wedding during your son's birthday.
Yes, I was.
Yeah, we were the ones that brought lightsabers to your
We're the
wedding.
ones that brought the lightsabers.
Yeah, you bought the lightsabers. You were there.
I think I brought 6. Yeah, I think we went up to one of your cousins. Hey, he goes, you want to hold the lightsaber? He's like, for what? I'm like, just hold it, okay? Just wave it when they come out.
And you know what? You did it I was very skittish about having Star Wars at my wedding because when I got married the first time.
That's why we didn't tell you.
Well, it was great. It was It was great for you not
once,
to tell me.
Once they dimmed the lights, I knew that the lightsabers would glow beautifully, and they did.
Yeah. And you know what? It was fun. It didn't overtake the wedding. Star Wars was such a problem in my first marriage that my mom dressed up as Queen Amidala. She upstaged the fucking bride at the wedding.
That was at the wedding?
That was at the wedding, yeah.
Oh my God.
So not only did that open the floodgates for my ex-wife to hate my mom from that day moving forward, but she also hated Star Wars moving that day forward.
So did she list Star Wars as the mistress in the divorce papers? Is that because of the news?
No, but
citing the newspaper?
That would have been a good reason. No, what? List the reason for divorce. Star Wars.
Yeah.
Not only am I being roasted with the drinking, but I'm, exposing my former life.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah, right? Happy birthday.
We can't talk about this without mentioning Bo. Someone that I got to know a little bit. Obviously, you guys know him way more. So he's in our hearts, but in this video.
Here's the Bo, man. He would be here if he could be.
Absolutely.
Bo.
Here in spirit.
But let's talk about Bo. So Chris, during you guys when you were shooting the celebration scenes, it seems like Bo was mostly at the house instead of the convention. Let's be honest. Was that because there was beer at the house?
With his shirt off?
With his shirt off. Sean, you wouldn't let us film you with your shirt off if we asked you to. But
no.
Bo, we didn't even ask Bo.
Nobody wants to see that. I don't need to be the reason that people go into therapy.
Now, I would have to say that Bo did enjoy the cocktails as much as me and Duffy, but I don't think that's the reason why. You know what? You know where that came from? That came from that bad review we had on Amazon. We had one bad review on Amazon. And a person said Bo was there because there was beer in the fridge. That's bullshit. Bo was there because you guys got to admit, the time that you spent in that house, that was the highlight of the convention.
That was pretty good. That was a lot. There's that house. I'll tell you, that house was just freaking awesome.
Thanks, guys. Because remember, I was supposed to be there. So thanks for rubbing it in. Thanks.
When Patrick Jeffy came home with that when he ordered the Papa John's and we were all starving.
Oh man, with that stuff, we just inhaled.
Oh my God, and that hit the spot because we were just, oh my God, we need to eat, and there's nothing around there. And then he goes, hey, you guys want some Papa John's? We're like, yeah. You don't eat a lot, probably. When you're starving, it was like the best thing ever.
You know what's better than Papa John's? In-N-Out Burger.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's quite a few things better than Papa John's, but that's just what was there at that moment when we were starving. So it was. There might have been a gourmet pizza for all we cared at that.
Like
time.
every other pizza made.
I gotta say, speaking about Papa John's, I gotta say, you know what? That is my guilty pleasure. Being in Chicago, we have so much great pizza.
Sean and Alphie, let me ask you guys a question. Like, what was your relationship with Bo before shooting the show, and then what was it like after shooting the show?
Well, before, in our relationship, I felt safe. Honestly, I don't know. My relationship actually got better, became something after that last celebration, because I didn't really know him from Nancy until then. And then, we just talked about a lot of just collecting and stuff. And I know Sean, I got to know him pretty well.
Yeah, I met Bo through Chris at the Joliet Star Wars Day. I think they were sharing a booth at the time. I thought, hey, quirky guy, he's got some funky art stuff that he's got going on here. But I dug it. I dug the tribal art that he was doing. At the time, he hadn't done a Boba Fett tribal picture yet, and I asked him if he would do one. He's, oh yeah, I'm meaning to put one together. And I think the next time I saw him, he had it ready to go, and I was like, cool. Yeah. And he gave me a copy, and we would talk on the phone, or we would text, or we get together whenever we do something at Chris's house or at Celebration. It just started to grow. And like I said before, my biggest regret is that I didn't get to know him sooner.
I would say that if it wasn't for the real fans of the Saga production, I don't think Sean and Alfie would have had the opportunity to have a relationship with Bo like they did.
I cherish so much the road trip we took to Celebration Orlando.
And you wanted to take my van after I bought it for a month. I've had
I
it for a
did want
month.
to take your van. I didn't think you'd mind.
You brand new artists, like, Sean's like, hey, can we take it? I'm like, no.
It would have saved us a lot in
I had
rental
it, the celebration was April. Yeah, I had it 2 months.
Oh yeah, hey Alfie, that would have really flown over well with Grace, right?
Oh, yeah. Here, take our brand new minivan here for an entire week.
Speaking of celebration, it was another one like Chris's birthday, like the Joliet Star Wars Day, I believe. Just another place where every one of the cast was at the same location. But you guys all kind of had your own separate stories that day. You think that was typical at cons?
Absolutely. Ask Sean about my time I spent with him at the Celebration Orlando.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, you know, we took the road trip down there, but as soon as the car was parked, Chris was gone. You know, he's down the hallway and around the corner. We turned and just like, where the frick did he go? It all boils down to, you know, everybody's got their own agenda as far as what they want to do and see when they're at a celebration. You can show up together, but you may only come back together at the end of the day. You know.
Which is fun at the end of the day. It's like Anaheim, the house. Everybody kind of connected and share their stories and their separate journeys. But I think when we're at Celebration, Alfie, you can add to this too. I mean, we all have completely different agendas when we're at those things.
I have no agenda. What are you talking about?
You have no agenda.
His agenda is not having one.
I just want to loaf. That's all I want to do is loaf. I don't want to scheme. I don't want to schedule anything. I just loaf.
Which I'm partly jealous of because that's that's being in the moment. You know what I mean?
Amen to that, man. I respect that, Alfie. I do.
Do you think, Sean, that your Mando mashing kind of retracts from the celebration because you spent so much time in costume that you don't really get to fully embrace the con? Or do you say, you know what, my number one thing is to wow everyone in my costumes?
Little bit of both of there.
I'm gonna say yes on that for Chicago.
For Chicago, absolutely. I wanted to, because we have the Chicago Sport Fets. I wanted to be all in, wowing people with those, and just trying to get as much attention on those as possible. Being in our backyard like that. But as anybody knows that's walked around in costume, if you're trying to actually see stuff, it's virtually impossible because one, it's hard to see out the mask, and secondly, you're going to get stopped every couple feet to take pictures, and then sometimes it'll turn into a horde of people.
You know, at some of the other celebrations on that last day when we're just like dressed in civilian gear, not even wearing Star Wars stuff, it's actually pretty awesome just to absorb it. So usually that first day of celebration, I'm not in costume, and I actually enjoy that because you're not trying to get attention. You just want to just enjoy the con.
Let's take another question from Scotland. This question just made me think of Alfie. You know, you mentioned on the show that you were Phantom Menaced back in 1999.
Yeah.
If you could go back, what would you tell your fanboy self?
What I would tell myself is don't wait in line overnight for the tickets because they were available anyway the next morning.
That is true.
But, you know, that was one of the whim things. I was near Sean's house. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to crash here. I got my sleeping bag, and I got some Gatorade, some chips, and a sandwich.
I was like, are you serious?
And Sean didn't believe me, and I was right down the street from him, you know, off Woodward. I would tell myself, don't do that. You didn't have to do that. I would say my fan self is enjoy it. Don't be too critical of it because I do think, and I stand by this, I still think it's the best of the prequels. You know, because obviously we want it to be like the trilogy, and it wasn't, and don't expect it to be. That's what I would tell myself. I enjoyed it more than I wanted to, and unlike the sequels where I enjoyed them, I didn't enjoy them at all, except the last two. But you know, absorb it for what it is, because I thought it's better. It's better than we thought it was when it first came out.
Phantom Menace syndrome, man. It wouldn't. If there's Phantom Menace would never reach that level that we set it up in our heads. And I think
Phantom Menace isn't going to be when we were 12 years old seeing Return of the Jedi. You know,
it's definitely a generational thing as far as how old are you when you first see the movie? How old are you when you first saw the Star Wars? How old are you when you first saw the prequels? And how old are you when you first saw the sequels, for that matter? It's how it impacts a child's mind when they first see it. And yeah, so whether it's the prequels or the sequels, there was no way that either one of those trilogies was going to come close to what we grew up with.
You think about it, everyone has original trilogy. You ask them about the sequel trilogy, that most of them probably don't like it, but if you ask someone who did like them, check it, see how old they are. Generally, they're probably going to be millennials or younger if they're like 8 and 9, which,
I would tell my younger self, don't collect episode 1 stuff. Collect all the vintage stuff you don't have in your collection, because if you wait too long, the price is just going to go through the roof.
Yeah, because the Phantom Menace, even now, you can't even give away, even right now.
I would say don't collect cereal boxes because they're all in my garage right now. All of Chris's cereal boxes are in my garage right now.
I want to add to something that you said about sleeping in line. No, we didn't have to do it, but that was kind of like the end of the sleeping outside era.
Yes.
So I would say, no, enjoy this moment because it's going to be your last.
That was the last time I did that. At least for the movie. There's one time at Celebration where, Sean and I.
For Lucas. Right.
Sean was waiting in line for the Lucas, and some guy that you were sitting with took a bed sheet and tried to make that the canopy, and I felt like, you know what? I'm sorry. I got to get out of here, man. And then
Alphie, with your ADD, you couldn't have, you were gone after like 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah, about 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I wasn't even intending on getting in that line for Lucas. It was my future wife at the time, Lisa, who pretty much triple dog dared me into doing it. We were walking and we saw it was almost midnight, and she saw the people lining up, and she's like, "Shouldn't we get in line?" I go, "You want to get in line overnight for this?" And she's called me out. She's like, "Well, if you're a true fan of George Lucas, you better get in line." I'm like, "All right, let's do this."
There's a game on. Sean's a quarter Filipino. We're very, very friendly people. We do whatever we can, but when we get mad, the axis of the earth may shift. Of the third showing of Lucas, me and this other guy, Jay, that showed up, Jay Jacinto, you know Chris Hood. And, we were at part of that, hey, we want to see George Lucas or, the third showing. We're like, sure. And then we get back to the hotel. I go, Sean, yeah, we saw Lucas. They didn't have enough people. They just told us to go in. I mean, Sean was so fucking pissed that he sat overnight in the rain outside.
Man, boy, Lisa and I, we ended up missing half the day of that day's celebration because we went to the George Lucas panel first thing in the morning and went back to the hotel and then crashed till, I don't know, maybe 2 o'clock before we went back to the hotel, back to the convention for the last couple hours. But you know what? We got the stories.
Chris, what is left on your bucket list?
My bucket list as a whole, or my Star Wars bucket list?
I'm assuming it means Star Wars bucket list.
To meet all the main actors of Rogue One.
Of course, he would say that.
If Celebration is still happening in Anaheim in August of this year of the pandemic, it's the only thing that would get me on a plane to go to Star Wars Celebration if the actors were there. And I just want to see a panel. Because obviously we can't do photo ops and autograph ops with these people. But that's on my bucket list, to meet all the actors from Rogue One.
All right, Sean, got one for you. You think Chris was a little insensitive when you lost your job?
Unfortunately, I got let go from my job, so money's going to be really tight here for a little bit. You know how we're kind of in the middle of planning this trip of Celebration? I might have to change my status to a maybe.
It sucks that Sean lost his job, but, I got a plan to catch to Anaheim.
Maybe just a little bit. I mean, I was devastated. I was like, I made all these plans for Celebration. I was planning this thing with Chris. I had given him money for the house, and now I don't know where my income's going to be coming from. We got our mortgage and our other bills and whatnot, and I'm in my depressed and down and out state. I called Chris to tell him, and then after the fact, I see he's like, Sorry about Sean losing his job, but I got a plane to catch. I appreciate the empathy, buddy.
Star Wars is not a problem in my marriage with Michelle, but it is a problem with some friends.
John, I was devastated because behind the scenes, you and I used to work with each other. And the day you lost your job was my first day I got promoted and started working in the office that you worked at. So I'm like, this is going to be great. We could do lunch every day. It's going to be awesome. And that day, as I was walking out, you were walking in the building, and little did I know what was going to happen. Like, I was just like, what's up, man? Have a good day.
Oh,
I was devastated, no matter what anyone else said, Sean. All right, Alphie. Speaking of Sean here, let me ask you a question. Does he have a hoarding problem, or does he have a space problem?
Yes, I would say more of a space issue, because the hoarding is really not him. It's his wife's Barbies that are consuming an entire bedroom, which could be a mini museum if she moved that shit out of there. But she said she's going to sell it. She won't.
Hey, no way. You know what? She was on the first part of this show. She's going to sell it to bring those guys to Paris.
No. But Sean has this trailer, which is a bigger collection than Chris and I, 3 times removed. And she won't put the Barbies in there. Because, if they clean out that room, that could be a Star Wars room very easily. A couple display cases, shelving. It's filled to the rim of Barbie.
Yeah, it's filled to the rim with Barbies, true. But I've also filled it with my fair share of things as well.
Right.
I wish I could take credit for this question, because this is probably my favorite question of the day. It's actually from Tyler from the Babu Freaks. John,
Hey!
what's the most frustrating purchase your wife has ever made?
It's this damn bath mat she got for the shower. The suction cups do not stick for shit. That thing is sliding up and down the top all day long, covering the drain, filling the top. It's the most annoying thing in the world.
Sean and Alphie, let me ask you guys a trivia question. This one is sent to us from our good friend, Mr. James McInerney, a.k.a. Jimmy Mac from Rebel Force Radio. What is Chris's favorite piece in his collection? Do you guys know?
Well, if it isn't from Tunisia, I'm going to say the snaggletooth head we got from the Toy Con.
So he's walking around with his severed head with pride. We're eating hot dogs and funnel cakes, and he's got this head. Like he just beheaded like a rival tribalman. And we know this is a prized possession, because when we first set up as display cases, there was a cube style display case, and this thing was had its own shelf, and it was almost like an archaeological display of this severed head of this snaggletooth. And I'm like, you know what? I've never seen that, and it's pretty awesome.
You know what? I would say that you guys are both wrong, even though those are my prized possessions. Sean, I would have to say that the Tunisian stuff I take a lot of pride in that in my collection. But, and the snaggletooth head, it was not on a table, it was on a shelf. It was on the top of the shelf. Saw it from a mile away, bought it for $20. That is a favorite piece of my collection, but my iron-ons. My vintage iron-ons, I would say.
I should have known.
What I'm most proud of.
That I should have known.
All right, Sean, I got a question for you. Did Chris really piss his pants at your house? And if so, what was your reaction?
As much as I'd like to say we staged that did happen.
Why would I stage me pissing my pants?
There are several reasons. We don't need to get into them now. I was flabbergasted. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I've had very strong close calls trying to get to the bathroom, but I've always made it. I've had the willpower to clinch it up or hold it in or whatever mechanism or organ you got to tighten up to stop that from leaking out. You got all the way into the bathroom.
I did piss my pants, but what happened was I was so excited to be at Sean's house filming that I put it back in the shorts a little too early. And there was still some stuff coming out of there.
You didn't know you were done? You weren't done yet?
If you're Amazon Prime watchers, it's in an upcoming episode.
It's soon to be released.
All right, let me grab a question. Alphie, you're the only person that can answer this. This is from Barry H. Our boys from the Babu Freaks.
Okay.
Who's the hottest Star Wars character?
Hottest is Padme, but the one I would date is Jyn Erso.
Really?
That's my type.
We need you to expand on that in the Alphie style.
Well, let's just say I would invite them over and put a camera at the bottom of the back to tank, if you will.
You were a Zori Bliss fan, though.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah, Kerry Russell. Yeah.
You know what? Zori Bliss, even just with those eyes.
Oh my God.
Do you feel like you had the same amount of screen time as the other stars, or do you kind of feel like more of a?
I was probably the least filmed, but that's okay. Yeah, I was working inside a bank. It sucked.
It was one of those things that we got slammed about. The Force Among Us apparently did not break the stereotypes for some people that had seen it. So I wanted to show Alphie had a real job.
I had a house. I had a family. I worked at a bank.
It's either Amazon or IMDb. It automatically, this is crazy, it automatically put him as a supporting role. it's like starring Bo Glazer, Cris Macht, Sean Hynes, and supporting role, Alphie Jimenez. And I did not have anything to do with it.
I did like, my role in The Force Among Us, though, the first one. When Sean and I were getting ready, and it was time-lapsed, when we were getting ready. And then
oh, yeah. That was
we'd see the lightsabers in the back, and my basement didn't have anything in it yet. And, there's that one scene where I'm twirling around the lightsaber, just, behind with the window behind me. And
That was a cool scene.
Because I'm actually doing, because people don't realize, people have made the comment, where did you learn your lightsaber? Well, I'm a Sifu in Kung Fu. I know how to use the lightsaber.
So Chris, when you hang out, just you and Alphie, does he always do his bank business?
When we filmed that episode with Alphie having lunch with me, again, that was real. That was not staged. Alphie was on a conference call. I mean,
yeah.
Why would you want to stage a conference call?
And I was pissed, with my boss because he was being a jag, because he's a fucking bullshitter. And
I would say that Alphie does fiddle around with his phone at some point when we hang out, but no, he's not always doing business on his phone, thank God.
One for you, Sean. This is actually from Daniel J. As far as you know, were there any scenes that didn't make the cut of Real Fans that you wish had?
Yeah, I think there was some stuff from the Celebration House. I think when we were drinking and drinking the Boba Fizz.
Best of the best, man.
Wow. Boba Fizz.
Boba motherfucking Fizz, man.
Everybody.
That's a pretty good fucking fizz.
Thank you, brother.
Just maybe some stuff around the house.
God, man, there's like three episodes of that.
All right, Chris, I got one for you. If you were to cast Real Fans 2, who would be the 4 participants? Who would be the main 4 cast?
You know what? That is a great question.
It should be Gunner.
Well, I know there's Gunner, there's Keith, there's Andrew Bordoni.
Let me just stop you right now, Chris, because the correct answer is Jimmy Mac, Tom Schaefer, me, and Jason. What's up, Jason? Shout out.
Shout out to Jason. Yeah, he was at my birthday party last year. And he gave me money in my birthday card because he felt like every time a birthday card should be opened, there should be money in there. You know what? Yeah, but then there's like 10 people that are casted, and now we don't have a 20-minute episode. We have a 2-hour episode.
Well, see, this was the Teen Mom 2 of it, where it's
the 90-Day Fiancé Teen Mom 2 portion of the show. That's hard to say who's going to take Bo's place. Nobody can take Bo's place.
Nobody can take Bo's place, but we can.
We
can feature a new personality, but nobody can ever really take Bo's place.
Yeah, we'll feature a new personality, but you know what? Ask me at another time.
It'd be like Luke. Ask me again sometime.
Ask me again.
You can tell. You can tell Luke. Is that who you can tell?
Okay, so this one is actually from Adam Harris, and this is for all you guys. What is all of your favorite moments from season 1?
Mine is just being able to make it and put it on Amazon Prime. That is my favorite part of the whole thing. My wife said earlier, having the footage of my daughter at a young age, and just the fact that we have all that footage of Bo and he's no longer with us, that is just priceless footage. But I feel like we have a very, very high profile family video. All of us do. I mean, Alphie's kids are young in the video. We have footage of Cora and Bo together. You know, just some golden footage that, you know, it's priceless stuff. Think about it. If we never filmed The Real Fans of the Saga, we would have never had, me included, the relationship that we had with Bo and the footage of our friends and families on such a high quality profile level. Again, making it is the answer.
I like the testimonies.
Alphie did not realize that the testimonials were going to be as long as they were, and he was getting very anxious. He was making me very nervous to do my job because I asked him the questions for his testimonial. Okay, so tell me about the stars. It's midnight, you know, we're going to the midnight.
Okay.
It's my birthday, we're going to the midnight show.
It's my birthday. We're going to the midnight show, and tonight.
I'm sorry, not midnight show, it's the
Force Friday. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm glad that is his favorite part.
I liked when we did our the mashup photo op at the celebration. As always, Chris, cheers to you for including us in it. And
hey man, thank you guys so much for being part of it.
Thank you for letting me be part of this little round table. So, Real Fans of the Saga, Amazon Prime, anyone else that these episodes are coming out. If you haven't seen it 5 times, go watch it.
Hey, you know what? I would say the most important thing is leave a review, even if it's negative. Because if you leave a negative review, we'll talk about it on the next show.
We'll talk about it incessantly.
If there's a negative review, I have to quote the Last Crusade in Chris.
Yes.
Let it, Indiana. Let it go.
And, you know, it's also Frozen. Let it go. I know that from my daughter. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on my birthday. And we will see you next time on Machtails from the Cantina. Cheers, everybody. I know a lot of people have had a birthday in quarantine, but thank you guys for joining me today. It's been nice. It's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for the invite, man.
Yeah, it's nice knowing I'm not the only old guy.
Okay, here we go.
Whoa!
Look at that.
So,
There's not enough candles on there.
no, there's not enough. And that is a vintage Wilton Darth Vader cake pan right there.
I remember having one like that too. Yeah.
Oh, you had one like that? Anybody else have one like this?
Oh yeah.
Show us the fucking cake.
There's the
It's down there in
cake.
the corner.
No, it's gonna delay.
I'm so glad that you said
Everyone's
it was
pointing and they're all in different spots.
I know, right?
Somewhere.
Now that'd be a cool poster.
To you.
Happy birthday
to you. Audio drag.
Happy birthday to you.
All right, now I gotta give a wish.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Hey.
Thank you.
Yay. We were singing that like we were singing a death march. My goodness.
That was
We are kind of
pretty.
living through a death march right now.
You can take Star Wars with you. It goes wherever you go.